everyone, welcome back to my channel. Welcome if you're new here. I'm Wendy, and on my channel we talk everything law of assumption, science, psychology, and do the odd celebrity analysis if there are topics that come up that are interesting, because there's a lot of them and we can learn a lot from celebrities, let me tell you. In today's video, I want to talk about how thought transmission actually works and why a lot of people actually think it doesn't work and why they give up too quickly and give up way too easily, really, and why you sometimes have instant results and sometimes you don't. So the way that thought transmission works is we're all connected energetically. Now, science has proven over and over again that everything is just energy. All of us, everything surrounding us, they're all just energy particles, and they're basically traveling at a speed of light in a way that gives our senses the ability to take in the world in that way. Now, obviously, it's a little bit more complicated than that, but this is just broken down. But that also means that we can all telepathically communicate with each other. There's a lot of research that has been done on this. I keep getting questioned and challenged on this, and people always like, well, you show me the research. And I tell them, you can literally Google it, and they'll be like, you give me like a 5-page summary of every research that has been done. Like, I'm sorry, I am not going to do that. If you want to know that, there's a bunch of resources out there that you can look it up yourself, but they have proven that telepathy is real. Now, does that mean that every person who does telepathy and every tarot reader and all of that, they're accurate? Please. No. There's a lot of scammers out there. There's a lot of people who will just use and abuse their rights and just try to take advantage of you and a situation that you're in that's painful. So please be mindful of that. Not everybody who does this is actually aware of how it really works. So it does take a little bit of understanding how it works, a little bit of honing your skill and training it. Again, I mean, we've all been in a situation where we thought of somebody and all of a sudden they called us. I actually had a situation recently where I was thinking of something. I was on the phone with somebody, and mid-conversation, they switched the conversation to the topic that I was thinking about, directly reflecting my negative beliefs back to me, where I was like, oh wow, I clearly haven't affirmed enough. I need to keep going. So because we can all talk to each other telepathically and energetically, you can send somebody else's thoughts. The funny thing about this is that people think sometimes that when you send them a message telepathically, they are going to know it's from you. But the way it really works is they're thinking that it's their own thought. And the example that I used where I was on the phone with somebody, I actually told them, I was like, I literally just thought about that. That was so weird. And they said, really? Because that's my belief. I hold that belief. They didn't even realize that this was my belief. And I've known this person my whole life. So it wasn't like I knew that this was a belief they held. I've never seen them speak that out, think that, act in line with that. So they were directly reflecting something I affirmed for myself negatively that I didn't want and thought that this was their own thought. So if you are sending them thought transmission when it comes to their feelings, their thoughts, their actions, they will perceive that as their own idea and as their own thought. And this doesn't just pertain to the way that you feel about them. This also pertains to the way that they see you and the way you feel about yourself. So if you think that the whole world is out to get you and everybody's against you and nobody likes you, you are going to get that reflected back over time, whether that is actually true or not. And a lot of people might even be confused, right? They might be talking to somebody else and say, I don't really understand. I really like this person. I don't know why they would think that I don't like them, but then they're in direct interaction with you and they might act in a way that makes you feel like they really can stand you because you are interpreting their actions in a way that makes you feel that way, which then creates this feedback loop of them thinking that way and then acting in ways that might make no sense either for them, who they are as a person, or just for the situation in general. So when people use this, and this is most of the time the example, people use this on their specific person. They think that if they're sending them thought transmission, it has to work instantly. Now, is thought transmission instant? In my experience, yes, it is. It is pretty instant from what I can recall from my personal experiences. However, let's just reverse engineer this. Let's say there's someone you haven't spoken to in let's say 6 months or so. First, you're going to start thinking about them. You're like, oh yeah, this person still exists. Then you're going to start thinking about how are they doing? What are they doing? I wonder what they're up to. The next part might be you looking them up, seeing what they're doing. Then you might be thinking about, is there a way to contact them? Should I even contact them? Is that like a good idea? I don't really know. The next step would be to think about, okay, which means do I have to contact them? Then you might be thinking about what kind of message am I sending them? What is my thought process here? What is it that I really want to say? Am I going to say the right thing? I don't want to say the wrong thing. And then the last step would be to just take the plunge. Maybe they're also busy in the meantime, right? And then take the plunge and message. Now, I'm someone who is super impulsive. So I might be thinking of somebody and I might message them right away. Doesn't happen all the time, happens sometimes, but very rarely, to be fair. Like more recently, it's been very rare. In the past, I would do it all the time, but that's not the way that most people normally think. So when you're affirming for someone to message you, for example, and you're doing it once, that's what you're going to get. You're going to get them at the point of, oh yeah, this person exists, or they might have a fleeting thought about you. And if you don't then immediately get a message, a lot of people give up because you're not giving the other person the time to go through the normal step-by-step thought process that it takes for them to know that you exist. Let's say this is a brand new person, know that you exist to the point of them wanting to message you. Sometimes it might take, something outside of them. Maybe there's a second person that the universe wants to pull in that then also needs to go through the thought process of, let's say they're meeting them somewhere and they're talking about you and they're like, oh yeah, maybe you should message them and blah, 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 whatever. Or maybe they don't have an opinion at all and then they meet again the next day and then this person is like, oh, well, I thought about it. Sounds like a nice person. Maybe you should message them. You have to give the universe the time to go through all of these steps with your person, because if it were instant, then the chances of them realizing that it's not their own thought process would be way too high. And how many times have you messaged someone because someone else told you to do it? And I'm not talking in a casual, conversational way. I'm talking you're in a relationship with somebody and you don't message them enough and they keep hounding you and telling you need to message me more. How many times does that actually work? It doesn't, because it comes from a place of, I don't have what I want, I'm unhappy, I'm miserable, I'm nagging, whatever it is that you want to say. So you have to reverse that and see your person from that perspective, which is why you need to continuously affirm so that the thought comes up over and over and over again to the point where they're actually going through the steps in the process to get from point A to point B. You're expecting them to go to point B immediately, which makes no sense. And even if they were, let's say you are affirming once and you get a message, you might get a message. This is where a lot of people say, I manifested my text message, but it wasn't what I wanted. And very few people then continue to affirm and say, it's okay, I'm going to ignore it. This is oftentimes where people are like, well, it worked, but it didn't work the way I wanted it to. And now I'm frustrated, I'm depressed, I'm unhappy. I'm just going to let it go because I have no control over this. This is the huge mistake that a lot of people make, which is why they don't get what they want. So you really need to give the universe time. And this can still go within 24 hours, 48 hours. It doesn't have to take forever. The more often you affirm, the better it is. You could, and I've had this happen before, you could see someone on social media and literally go through the process of all of it and then messaging them and being like, hey, I think you're really pretty, or hey, whatever you're doing is nice, so whatever the case may be. And then really get into this place of consistently communicating with them and building a relationship in a really short amount of time. It doesn't have to take a long period of time, but you have to give them the room to go through the steps before you jump into, well, it didn't work. Because guess what? Then it won't work. That's exactly what you're going to get. If you keep affirming that it doesn't work the way you want it to, or it doesn't work quickly enough, you're always going to get that as a result. Your brain, the universe, whatever you want to believe in, everything has to prove you right at all times. So stop being so focused on time. Stop making yourself crazy if it didn't work for you right away, and understand that, yes, thought transmission is instant, but our brains are not. We as humans are not designed to do things instantly anymore because most of our lives don't allow for that. So give them the grace to have the time to think about messaging you. Let them go through the motions, and I promise you, they will message you. Whatever you want will come to you, and you can have whatever you want. You're going to get exactly what you want. You're going to get exactly who you want. Just have a little bit of faith that the universe has your back. Your brain has your back, God has your back, whatever you believe in. And I know you can do this, okay? Please leave a comment if you have any questions. I'm rooting for you. I know you can do this. If you need a pick-me-up, just let me know. I'm happy to make maybe a little bit of a rant video to hold you accountable, which is why I also do my Manifest With Me videos. That's what they're for, to hold you accountable. So we can, someone in my comments said it was like FaceTiming, and I do feel like that. It's like us FaceTiming and manifesting together. So just know a lot more of these videos are coming as well. I'm working on them. And yeah, like I said, if you have any questions, leave a comment, and I will see you in the next one.